I'm Elisa Mortensen, and this is Undo Redo.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Undoredo podcast. Today we're going to talk about people who have you sideways. I'm laughing because I just did a horrible intro and I'm hoping this one goes better. Let's talk about them, shall we? You know, the people who say things that shock you, the ones who can ruin your whole mood just by being there, honestly. They say those exact things you wish they wouldn't say. They do the things you wish they wouldn't do, or they don't say the things you wish they would say and do the things you wish they would do. All of it. We've got those people in our lives. They're the ones who send our whole nervous system into a tizzy. We're like, ah! And we often find ourselves stuck in a loop of ranting, stewing, planning what we're going to say next, keeping track of everything that drives us crazy. And that toxicity that they bring inside us is way too much. And we spend too much time around them, possibly. And even when we're not around them, we hold on to all these things, so it's still with us. So often we get worked up about it and they don't even need to be there. But what if the whole game changed? What if there was one thing that you could work on, just one, that made everything easier, that made you feel more calm, more clear, more strong, no matter what they're doing? I'm going to tell you what that one thing is today. And spoiler alert, it's not them. But let's kind of paint a picture. You're in a conversation and you already feel on edge, and then they say it, that thing. And you try to stay calm, but your jaw kind of tenses or your shoulders rise, and suddenly you're 3 steps ahead of them in your mind because you know where it's going. You're going to have to explain or defend yourself or prove them wrong, or you're just going at them in your mind and you don't dare say anything. You can't wait to maybe call your best friend and tell them, I cannot believe they said that. And you won't believe what they just did. And you walk away from that feeling drained, like a loss of energy, irritated, maybe a little resentful, because maybe you promised yourself last time that you weren't going to let them get to you, but they did. Or you promised yourself when they did that next time that you were going to say something. Maybe you knew the kind of energy that you were in and that you weren't going to say anything or do anything appropriate at that moment anyways, whatever the case may be, right? Yeah, we've all been there. But here's a big truth bomb I'm going to drop on you. The moment we start planning to show them, teach them, tell them, like we build a case against them, we've already abandoned ourselves. That's why it feels so icky. We've crossed this invisible boundary, not the one they've crossed, but the boundary we've crossed inside in that moment is one of, I know better than to get sucked into this. Like we really all know better. But that version of ourselves that joins in the drama and gets kind of sucked into it. And honestly, sometimes we match their negative energy like a pro. Let's be honest. And the worst part is admitting that we ended up doing exactly what they're doing. We're complaining. We complain. We're getting petty, pettier than them. They throw a jab. We got a whole speech ready to go. Why did they complain and then we do it? They get petty and then we do it. We call it standing up for ourselves. But half the time, we're just reenacting what we don't like about them because it drives us crazy. And here's where everything shifted for me was radical ownership. I'm going to call it radical because it's just like you need adrenaline or just something amazing, something with high intensity to stop yourself from waiting for other people to behave right before you behave right. I could show up well. I'd have to join them. Radical ownership to me meant that I took full responsibility for my energy And my choice is the way I'm communicating, no matter how sideways someone else is acting. Radical ownership doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything. It means owning what you're feeling, owning what you're making it mean, what they're doing and saying. What are you making it mean? How are you reacting to it? Because what you actually want to do is be from your own values, not match their energy, not from your frustration with them, but from your own person. And it sounds clean and noble, but it's a really messy kind of practice, because when you're around someone who triggers you, it's easy to start micromanaging their behavior in your head. And you think, if they would just stop acting like that, then I could be at peace. But here's the wild part. What if your peace didn't depend on them changing at all? Because it doesn't. And this is the real work. Staying connected to who you are, even when they're just completely being themselves. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to approve of their behavior, but you also don't have to start mirroring them. It's about that inner boundary, the one that you crossed, the one that says, I don't abandon myself because you're showing up messy today. And guess what? You don't have to be cold or distant to do this. What you can say is what's true for you without trying to get a reaction, without trying to show them. You can let your honesty matter without trying to teach them. You can offer a clear message that says something like, here's where I stand, here's my highest priority, here's what I value, here's what I'm going to do. And it feels like I'm here for me and for you, and I don't need to change you for me to stay in my peace. I'm here to cooperate because we work together, live together, have, are a part of something together. But I can stay in my peace while you're a mess. And maybe you find that there's no shared concern between you and this person. Maybe it's just not there. That's okay too. It doesn't mean you can't stand in your own peace, in your own place, and keep showing up very clearly with your own integrity. Okay, so let's lovingly call ourselves out for a second. Have you ever found yourself venting about someone being dramatic while you're being super dramatic about it? Or criticizing someone for being negative while you're totally being negative in the process? We all do it, right? We're over here judging the judgers. We're fighting the fighters. We're controlling the controllers. It's kind of hilarious when you think about it, because we become very angry and we're trying to escape, but we're also bringing it. But that's why this work is so empowering, is because once you see it, you can shift it. And you can pause and ask, am I about to become just like them? Someone I don't want to be just because who they are being right now? All right, I want to wrap up the frustration, confusion, and reactivity. You didn't know how to show up without it. Silencing yourself to keep the peace or exploding to be heard isn't the answer. But now you have a third option, one that says, I'm going to do what I plan on doing. I will stay in my values. I will maintain the peace and calm I would like to. I will speak honestly. I don't join energy that doesn't reflect who I want to be at this time. And that is the kind of radical ownership. That is leadership. That is peace. It's also magnetic, because when you stop adjusting yourself to fit others' chaos, you give them permission to adjust to your calm. That's good news for leaders, for parents, for caregivers, because when you stop adjusting yourself to their chaos, they have the opportunity and the permission or the invitation to adjust to your calm. Isn't that amazing? You can show them what's possible. We don't need to lose our minds all the time. Without trying to change them, you just adjust yourself, and that is exemplified in you. And it invites other people It's an option now. It's on the table. So today, take kind of a mental inventory. Where have you been shifting, shrinking, adjusting yourself, snapping to match someone else's mess, or just carrying that mess of theirs with you, even when they're not around? And what if that was the only thing, the one thing you had to work on? Not fixing them, just finding you again, maintaining who you are, letting go of those things and showing up really big. Because when you stop abandoning yourself, you will feel better. When you get out of their head and out of their story and out of their day and get into your own, that will be there for yourself when you're with the difficult ones, the ones who have you sideways. If you want to know what this looks like for you in your situation, I do complimentary consults. So get on a call with me and we'll chat about your next best move and get you to have a plan of feeling relief and hope and start implementing these things immediately. All right, go to connect.elisamortensen.com and check it out. Get on my books. Okay, talk to you next week. Bye.